Hey, what's happening, everybody? Brent Axe here from syracuse.com, and we are live. And we are here on the syracuse.com Syracuse Orange basketball Facebook page because the Orange are dancing on to Detroit. From Dayton to Detroit, the Orange take down Arizona State. Woo! That was a close one for Syracuse. Came down to the end. We had a little bit of March Madness there. Pascal Chukwu coming through with some free throws down the stretch for the Orange. O'Shea Brissett, brilliant for the Orange, and it is survive in advance time. You can't spell survives without SU. That was certainly the case tonight as Syracuse defeats Arizona State 60-56. So TCU, the number 6 seed, the Horned Frogs, and old friend Jamie Dixon are up next for the Orange. That's going to be a Friday night game. It's going to be a 9:40 start, and it's going to be the late CBS game, by the way. So we'll be partying Friday night in Syracuse or wherever you are, continuing to watch the Orange in March Madness. Syracuse, the absolute last team in, 68 out of 68. Doug Gottlieb and many pundits out there felt the Orange did not deserve a bid. That's what the play-in game is for, right? That's what the first four is for, to play your way in. Well, whether you consider tonight the NCAA tournament or not, the Orange are moving on. They're moving on up to Detroit, Derek Coleman's hometown, to take on the TCU Horned Frogs. So please like and share that we're here and doing this. If you're watching on the YouTube replay later, hello, appreciate that. And you can share that as well. We would appreciate that. And we are here thanks to our friends at the Bill Wrap Superstore. So you guys do your thing in the comments. I'll get in there and respond to you guys here momentarily. But just a few things to go over first. Certainly, O'Shea Brissett gets the first shout out tonight. What a performance for O'Shea. I really felt like he was the key because I felt like Arizona State was going to key in on Tyus Battle and Frank Howard. Not that Tyus Battle and Frank Howard didn't contribute tonight, but you knew that they would kind of play aggressively. And Arizona State really did that. They came up on Battle and Howard and challenged them, and that left a lot of opportunities for O'Shea Brissett, and he was brilliant tonight. 23 points, 12 rebounds in his first NCAA tournament game. He was 3 of 8 from three-point range, 7 of 15, shooting the ball, a lot of second chances for him. Grabbed about 4 offensive rebounds in this game tonight. We mentioned Tyus Battle. He had 15 points in this game for the Orange. Frank Howard ended up with 12 points. Now, it was interesting because he had a real big spurt in the first half on the offensive end and then fell off the mat for a while and then put in some points late in the game. So he was third for the Orange. Merrick Dolezaj made a lot of hustle plays out there, getting some rebounds, ended up with 5 points and 5 rebounds on the night. Pascal Chukwu, who we mentioned with the clutch free throws at the end. Now, overall, he was 3 of 7 from the free throw line. Free throw shooting breaks my heart because hashtag free throws matter, right? Free throw shooting was awful in this game overall. Syracuse was 13 of 23. That's 56%. Thankfully, though, Arizona State, much worse, 3 of 10, 30% from the free throw line. And what is always a key for the Orange, they out-rebounded Arizona State in this game tonight, 37-34. Arizona State did move the ball a lot better. They had 19 assists to Syracuse 10. Syracuse with 5 steals, 2 blocks. Arizona State with 5 steals and 3 blocks in this game. And this was how Syracuse was going to win this game, and it's what they did, and that's they made it a grind. This is what this team has done all year when they have been successful. There have been a couple of games, certainly, where they can run and go up and down the floor, and I think people would prefer to see Syracuse do that. But they are at their best when they do what? When they grind it out, when they use the shot clock, when that 2-3 zone slows teams down to a pace that they're not comfortable with. I mean, this is an Arizona State team that was averaging over 80 points per game. And if you go up and down, I love that. Joe with the great shout out there. Grandpa Axe, if you have to stay up past midnight, it's a little bit easier after a Cuse win. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of these 9 o'clock games, but for the NCAA tournament, no coffee necessary tonight, especially after that ending and the jolt that this team gave you. Like that comment from Joe. Yeah, Grandpa usually doesn't like the late night starts, but look at everybody who's here. Look at everybody who's here up late on a Thursday night. I love it. It's a beautiful thing. That's a great question there from the one and only John Lammers. Is this O'Shea Brissett's team now? He's getting there. And this is a platform, John, that he can kind of take that role. And I was just saying it there a moment ago. I really felt like this was a platform and an opportunity for him because of how much attention is going to be paid to Tyus Battle and Frank Howard. He's a tournament player because he can shoot from the outside. He can shoot from the inside. He certainly took advantage of the lack of size that Arizona State has and got a lot of rebounds in there. O'Shea is just a primetime player. He's a big-time player, and I don't think TCU really has anybody that matches up with him either. So is it his team now? I mean, we're getting there. It's kind of a wide-open thing. One would think it's Tyus' team or Frank as the point guard, but O'Shea Brissett is certainly elbowing his way right into that conversation. So that's what Syracuse did tonight, and that's what I think you had to expect to do. A lot of people felt like, I should say, this team did not deserve to be in the tournament, and then you watch a game like that. Look, Syracuse isn't pretty. That's what they've done all year. Jim Boeheim, when he was interviewed by Allie LaForce at halftime, she asked why the slow start on offense, and Boeheim just kind of laughed, and he said, that's what we do. That's what we've been doing all year. We're an offensively challenged team. We grind. And that's when Syracuse is really at their best, sometimes by choice, sometimes by the fact they just can't get it going on the offensive end. Tonight it was a little bit of both. And we had some tense moments down the stretch in this game. What else would you want from a March Madness game, right? So, Arizona State, there was a stretch where Syracuse went about 4 minutes where they didn't even hit a field goal. And then O'Shea hits a shot, as he often did in this game, to get Syracuse rolling. And then Arizona State hits a three. They're up 52-50. O'Shea ties it at 52. O'Shea grabs a big rebound with about 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Then that kind of capped a 13-3 run. When Tyus Battle, they reviewed this, and it ended up being a three. At first, they only called it a two. He hits what was a cold-blooded three-pointer. And he had a couple big three-pointers in this game, one of which, they were in Dayton. I think he hit that from Cincinnati. It was such a deep three. 55-52 at that point. Arizona State had a lot of opportunities to either tie this game or take the lead late. Justice missed a shot. Evans, the Buffalo transfer, has been so good for Arizona State. He missed a bunch of shots down the stretch, and they kept sending Pascal Chukwu to the free throw line. As a matter of fact, Jim Boeheim was really upset late in the game because he wasn't supposed to get the ball. You want the ball in your guard's hands. You want Tyus or Frank to have the ball to get to the free throw line. Pascal made enough. He did enough. He didn't go 2 for 2 or anything down the stretch, but made the ones that counted. He hits the free throws. Tyus Battle almost grabs a steal. Mitchell scores inside. So Arizona State's threatening there, but Evans with a wide open shot down the stretch misses. Frank Howard gets the rebound and caps it to make it a 60-56 win for the Orange. So now you got TCU and Jamie Dixon looming. Now, the interesting thing there is, of course, Jamie Dixon is very familiar with the zone defense. He was one of these coaches that knew how to solve it back in the day, but that was also when he had players that knew how to solve the 2-3 zone. TCU on a short turnaround here. So this game's going to be Friday night at 9:40. Can Jamie Dixon teach his Jedi ways against the 2-3 zone to a team that probably didn't see a lot of it in Big 12 play? I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't see a lot of TCU this year. So I'm as curious as anybody to see what Jamie Dixon is doing there. Obviously got him to the tournament. This is the first time TCU has been to the tournament, I believe, since 1991. I heard the other day when the brackets came out, one way or the other. It's been a long time. So they're a raw team. Syracuse has a game in, gained some confidence. They don't have far to go. Dayton to Detroit. They'll leave shortly, get to Detroit, have all day Friday to practice, Thursday, tomorrow. Yes, Thursday. Tomorrow is Thursday. I don't even know what day it is. See what happens when Grandpa stays up late. So they'll have all day to check in, get acclimated, get a workout, get a practice in, do all the media stuff, and then you're sitting around all day Friday. They've got the late game, so this is not going to be a tough turnaround for the Orange. I don't think TCU has any advantage there whatsoever. I would imagine the crowd, there'll be more Syracuse fans there as well as an 11 seed than TCU fans. I'm sure the Horned Frog fans are excited and made their way to Detroit, but I'm sure a lot more Syracuse fans are going to make their way into Detroit for that matchup. So that's what's happening Friday. The Orange survive and advance, and let's see what you guys are saying here in the comments about all of it. Lisa's saying Chukwu needs much improvement. He looks like he's afraid of the ball. Look, Chukwu's got to dunk the ball. It is incredible to me that he doesn't know how big he is sometimes. You are 7'2". Don't put the ball on the floor. Don't do anything cute. Take those long arms and dunk the basketball. And that's a lesson he's had to learn all year. He has trouble catching the ball. He's not good, on run set plays, passing inside. You almost literally have to hand him the ball and let him go up with it. So, yeah, there's some development to be done there. And I think we forget, he didn't play a lot in high school. He didn't play a lot at Providence. He sat out a year. And then this is really the first year he's played extended basketball. So given those circumstances at a high level, I'll cut him a break, but boy, dunk the basketball. And they tell him to do that. That's the thing. It's not like they don't tell him to do that. But you know what? Hit those free throws when it mattered. That was big time. Daniel saying Syracuse just grinds games. That's really what they are. This is a team that grinds, that uses possessions, that plays great defense. And the good thing about that is, normally the 2-3 zone will take teams out of their rhythm, make you think about it. Arizona State actually saw some zone down the stretch because teams figured out that if they push their guards out and kind of make them hit some threes, Holder and Evans, that at least they'd have a better shot. Washington, with Mike Hopkins, held Arizona State to one of their lowest scores of the year. So it's not just the zone, though. It's how Syracuse changes up the zone, mixes up coverages, doubles people. I think they did a much better job covering the corners in the second half because Arizona State was finding some open shots in the corners. So it's a mental thing, and it's a grind. The zone doesn't always grind you down, though. Sometimes you got a Syracuse team that will push tempo and give teams more possessions, and then they can hit threes and get to a rhythm. This is a grind-it-down type of zone defense, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world to watch, but it works. You've got to do what works. And when you're a team that only has 7 guys, really 6, to be honest, because Matthew Moyer just isn't doing much these days, and, of course, Barama only plays when absolutely necessary at this point. It's not pretty, but it works, right? David says, in all caps, by the way, worst college basketball game I've ever watched, really just trying to move on. Well, hey, listen, survive and advance, David. Survive and advance. And by the way, I saw about 3 or 4 games this year worse than that one. So if that's the worst college basketball game you've ever seen, you're not watching as much college basketball as some of us are, because we've seen worse. We really have. But as not pretty as this has been, they're still playing. They're in the NCAA tournament. Should they be there? Well, I asked Doug Gottlieb what he thinks about that. Oklahoma State didn't get in. Syracuse did. There's been years when Syracuse deserved to be there and didn't get in. Dems the breaks. So what you got to do is when you get there, you got to prove you belong there by winning games. And Syracuse did that tonight. There was a time a couple of years ago, I recall, Syracuse was not supposed to be there, right? They sound like Dante from Clerks. I'm not even supposed to be here today. And they went to the Final Four. Is this team going to the Final Four? No. This team is not going to the Final Four. I will say that, and if I'm wrong on that, I'll eat a big old plate of crow with ketchup on top. And if you know me from social media and my stance of ketchup on hot dogs, that'd be a big thing for me to do. This team's not a Final Four team, but what you got to do is prove you belong there by winning games, and they did that tonight. Now, beating TCU would be a big step up because Arizona State, along with Syracuse, a lot of people argued shouldn't have been there. But that's what the playing game's for. The playing round is, all right, here's one more shot for you to get in the real dance, and that's what Syracuse is going to do on Friday. Oh, let's see. A lot of people still talking about Pascal, right? A lot of people. Yeah, Pascal's been a very popular thing here in the chat tonight, and he came through. He came through when he needed to, man. Josh said, like you said on Twitter, Brent, to that guy, if both teams are missing free throws, they still always matter, and Pascal proved your point. Yeah, that's why it's a hashtag, man. Hashtag free throws matter. They certainly do. Chris saying that Brissett is a prospect. This is what the NCAA tournament can do for you. The NCAA tournament can give you a platform. A guy named Malachi Richardson used that platform a couple of years ago, really the platform of one game against Virginia to kind of up his NBA draft stock. Not that NBA scouts weren't looking at him at that point, but that really elevated his stock and, really made him a first-round pick. I don't anticipate that's going to happen with O'Shea this year, but it's going to open some eyes of some people that want to take a closer look at him. He's being scouted as it is. NBA scouts are way ahead of the game on these things. When they came to watch Tyus battle this year, and Syracuse goes on the road in the ACC, scouts are there and they notice. And it's a process. It's a year-round process. These guys track players all year round. They don't just wake up at the NCAA tournament and say, let's start watching games. Scouts are there all year long, but it's what you do on a big stage that shows NBA people, NBA GMs, and those that need it, what you can do at a high level. And if he continues to play at a high level like this, he's going to open some eyes. Sue saying, goodbye, Dayton. Hello, Detroit. Because where else would you rather be this time of the year than Detroit, Michigan, baby? Hey, look out the window. I'm in Syracuse right now, so you guys are all over the place. Wherever you are, hope it's nice and warm. We're getting socked with yet another snowstorm here in central New York, but it makes it a little easier to go by when you're watching NCAA tournament basketball, right? Beth going with the old cliche, one game at a time. One game at a time. That's all you can do. Ray is rapping in here. Cuse is in the house. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That one stood the test of time, didn't it? that stood the test of time. I think a lot of people still have that T-shirt, right? And we got a lot of T-shirts that they've made about Syracuse basketball in the day. Let's see. A lot of comments about Brissett here. Kevin wants to know my upset. I got a couple upsets for you. I've got New Mexico State in the Sweet 16. Not only advancing, but in the Sweet 16. Why? New Mexico State's playing in San Diego. Keep that in mind. They've got a great backcourt. I've got Davidson taking down Kentucky, another 12 beating a 5 there. Loyola Chicago beating Miami in 11 over a 6. I don't have any wild upsets beyond that, but it's going to happen. A 13 is going to beat a 4 or, something wacky like that. Maybe even a 14 beats a 3. It's only happened 8 times that a 15's beaten a 2. Last time was when Syracuse was in the tournament and Michigan State got beat by Middle Tennessee and cleared the deck for the Orange in that bracket. So we shall see. The madness is underway, right? Those are my big upsets. You guys got all your brackets done, ready to hand in tomorrow? If you're like me, you wait to the last minute. That's what I do, man. I wait right till the last minute, literally at 11:59. I will hand it in. Because I just think about how many people, put Virginia in as their national champion, and then DeAndre Hunter gets hurt. That's a big injury. That's a go from maybe a potential national championship to can you get by the Sweet 16 kind of injury for Virginia. I had Arizona coming out of that bracket anyway, but it's a big time injury. That's why you got to wait and before you fill out your bracket and officially hand that thing in. Steven says I should post my bracket. Funny you should bring that up, Steven, because the great Jason Murray made me fill out my bracket 2 days early. He's messing with my whole system, and I don't like it. So my bracket will be posted. It'll be up, I believe, tomorrow. Our brackets will be up, so keep an eye out for that, and get ready to take it to the bank. Straight cash, homie, as Randy Moss once said. Let's see. Kevin saying, don't pick Missouri. Their scorer was arrested for DWI and not playing. Yeah, Missouri's been a mess. And Michael Porter Jr., even if he comes back, how effective will he be? Because he's been out all year long. So, yeah, don't take Missouri. Those 8-9 games, though, not really upsets. But you don't want to take Missouri as the 8 seed there. Taking the 9's not a big upset there. While we're on the subject of March Madness here, I know we're talking about Syracuse basketball, and you guys are excited about this. Shout out to Lemoyne for all you Lemoyne alums out there in Facebook Live land tonight. How about Lemoyne making the Elite 8 for the first time in program history? That is fantastic. And don't forget the Syracuse women's the Syracuse women's basketball team. I don't know why lacrosse popped in my head there, but the Syracuse women's basketball team, they are in the tournament. They play Oklahoma State on Saturday. So you got that. A lot of things happening, man. The Syracuse Crunch made another playoff bid tonight. They will be in the Calder Cup playoff, so we'll have playoff hockey in Syracuse once again. A lot of cool things happening on the postseason front here in central New York. Hakuna Matata. Talk about our offense, Brent. I love talk about questions. They're my favorite. You mean their offense tonight was basically O'Shea Brissett. Tyus with a few three-pointers. Frank had that spurt at the beginning. Merrick Dolezaj kind of put something together at the end. Pascal Chukwu boy, dunk the ball, Pascal. You're driving me crazy. But he had a couple opportunities around the hoop, but the offense tonight appropriately was O'Shea. O'Shea equals your offense, and that was it. Mike, safe travels to you, my friend. Thanks for hanging with us tonight. Who's got a long drive to Detroit? Who's going to go and watch this team in the next round of the NCAA tournament? I'm sure there's tickets still available for that. And I'm sure Syracuse fans, and that's the late game. That's the nightcap. That's the CBS game, Friday night, 9:40 tip. And I'm sure Syracuse fans will be represented. And if Syracuse beats TCU Friday night, which I tell you what, I think they're going to, then they get Michigan State in Detroit. There'll be quite a crowd swing in that one because I think Syracuse fans will certainly represent. But if you can get to a third game in 5 days after this playing game and get Michigan State on Sunday, I mean, look, that's why they play the games, man. I've seen weirder things happen before, but Michigan State, that's my national championship pick and a lot of people's national championship pick, and that is going to be tough sledding for a team playing its third game in 5 days with a six-man rotation to beat Michigan State, who's loaded. Probably the deepest, most talented team top to bottom. Other than, say, Duke and some of the – but I think Michigan State's even better than some of the number one seeds. I think they're better than Xavier. I think they're even better than Kansas at this point. Kansas, got a one seed based on a body of work and everything they did this season, and that's fair, but they need their big guy back. And we'll see how effective he is. Michigan State, they're actually a pretty popular pick to win the national championship. I went chalk there, but they're going to have to go through Syracuse if they can beat TCU on Friday night. Michael's loving the Lemoyne shout out there. Class of 94. Go Fins, baby. Claude asks, will Jamie Dixon be ready? He'll be ready. My question is, can you get your team ready on a short turnaround? Because Jamie Dixon owned the zone and Syracuse back in the day because Pittsburgh would play Syracuse twice a year. And not only was he acclimated to it, the players were acclimated to it. The players knew about it and knew how to approach it and played that kind of grinded out tough style, which – this just in, Syracuse is now excelling at. So Syracuse can kind of fight fire with fire if Jamie Dixon's still doing that at TCU. And those players have not seen as much zone as Jamie Dixon's Pittsburgh teams did. He'll tell them all the right things, but it's a matter of executing it. Bobby Hurley told these guys tonight for Arizona State what to do, but you've got to execute. And there were times they did. They were hitting the open threes in the corners and moving the ball where they needed to. Boy, and I'll tell you, as we mentioned, Evans had a shot right at the end there that he missed. This game could have gone either way, but that is March Madness, my friends. That is March Madness, no question about it. Let's see. Mike says Frank played through strep throat, battled and gutted it out. That's a fair point to bring up. I mean, the guy was out of commission for 2 days, Sunday and Monday. Anybody that's had strep throat knows that's no party. So has strep throat for 2 days, travels, and he doesn't leave the game. He plays all 40 minutes. So we'll give him that, and I'm sure he'll be much better on Friday night with a couple more days of rest and fluids and antibiotics and all that stuff. Michael saying Brissett playing great tonight will hopefully pay dividends in the next game. They need him to. They need Brissett to be that go-to guy because Tyus and Frank are just going to see so much attention. Not that Tyus can't do it and take on a defense or two and be the go-to guy, but they really need O'Shea Brissett to be a primary scorer here, and he did that tonight. He has had now, I believe, 14 double-doubles on the season and came through with one tonight. Jacob just wants a shout-out. There you go, Jacob. Shout-out to you, buddy. Let's see. Chris saying Zaga. Whoa, you got Gonzaga going all the way, Chris. My man. How about that? They almost did it last year, right? Came that close. Oh, let's see what else we got here from you guys. We're going to wrap up here shortly, but you guys are still commenting here. Yeah, Jack, where's Teddy Valentine? Teddy TV did not work the tournament after that little incident, and he got disciplined for that, and things kind of went downhill from there. Look, I rag on Teddy TV as much as the next guy. He's actually a pretty good official. He's just a little theatrical. He just, there's a reason his nickname is Teddy TV. The fact he didn't even get an assignment for this tournament, well, that's a slap in the face right there. Now, but he was threatening to retire after that whole thing, and then he came back. I mean, Teddy TV is a little bit of a drama queen, so I'm not feeling too bad for him, but that was a pretty interesting development that he's not even in this tournament. You need good refs in the tournament, as we saw tonight, because these guys, blowing the whistle a little too much in this Syracuse game. Michael Antonio, no, I do not need any of your Geritol. Thank you. Coffee is a wonderful thing and keeps me up for these night games. Paul says, who starts next year if Battle and Brissett stay? That's a great question, Paul, because that team is loaded with a capital L. And you got to remember, it's not really the starting five for Boeheim. It's who's the main five, who are the five in the game when it matters. So let's say Battle and Brissett come back. I think that Battle and Howard will still start. Jalen Carey will get major run off the bench. And then I think Basley has a great opportunity to make his way into the starting lineup. I think Chukwu will still start at center. And then O'Shea, certainly. There's your starting five, but boy, you're going to get some guys off the bench next year, particularly with pretty much everybody coming back from this team, right? They're going to go from depleted to deep, just like that. And even so, this team is, making its way through the NCAA tournament. All right, guys, what do you say we wrap it up there? Appreciate you hanging out with me here as Wednesday's about to become Thursday. Please read the recap. It'll be up for you nice and early tomorrow morning. Read all of our great coverage. Mike Waters, Donna DeTota, Chris Carlson, and the great photos from Dennis Nett. They are in Dayton, and they're getting great work for you put together right now. And we'll be back here on Friday night. What do you say we stay up late and do the Facebook Live thing no matter what happens in Detroit on Friday night against TCU? For now, the Orange are winners, victorious in the play-in round. They take down Arizona State tonight, 60-56. Thanks to our friends at the Bill Rapp Superstore. Thanks to you for hanging out with us here tonight on Facebook Live. We will be back Friday night, baby, as the Orange keep on dancing in Detroit. Have a great night, everybody.